You don't have to stay in spaces that chip away at your self-worth in the name of loyalty, because love without safety isn't really love. It's manipulation. Hi, my friend. Welcome to the Bounce Back Black Woman podcast. I'm Dell, and I've overcome some of the most devastating heartbreaks I could ever have imagined. Do you find yourself stuck in sadness after a broken heart, asking God, why me? Well, I'm here to help women just like you heal and build the resilience to overcome life's greatest hurts. If you long for joy and confidence again, this podcast is for you. So grab your headphones and those heartbreaks. Let's talk. Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to Bounce Back Black Woman. So in the last episode, you know that we took time to honor mothers and the women who serve as mother figures in children's lives. Today, we're actually going to look at the other side of that script and talk with ruthless intentionality about something that's sometimes hard to admit, even to ourselves. What happens when the source of your heartbreak is your own mother? Now, before we go any further, this episode isn't coming from a place of finger pointing or bitterness. And in my situation, my mother didn't break my heart. She was doing the best that she could in hard circumstances. I didn't always understand her choices, and sometimes those choices broke my heart for her. But as I grew and matured, I eventually came to respect the sacrifice behind the choices that she made. You see, often we see our mothers as just that, our mothers. But we sometimes forget that she was just once a girl with a whole life in childhood, lots of experiences that we know nothing about. And she eventually became a whole woman even before we came along. That means that she experienced all the stages of life that we do: childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, relationships, dating, and then eventually parenting. Now, for me, given what I know about my mom's life before me, I know that she did the best that she could with where she was in her journey. And while I can say that my mother didn't do anything that hurt me directly, physically or emotionally, I have walked closely alongside people who have not had that same story. I've held space for friends whose moms belittled them, or manipulated them, or shamed them, or neglected them, and sometimes even abused them. And I've seen the conflicting feelings that arise when we hear the words, "honor thy mother," when our mother doesn't feel honorable, and how that message gets tangled up with the message of stand in your truth. And that conflict often produces guilt and confusion within us, because somehow we've come to believe that honor means proximity, and that respect means compliance, and that boundaries mean disobedience. And my friend, let me tell you, that couldn't be farther from the truth. So what if your mother was emotionally unsafe, or controlling, or physically unsafe, and maybe even cruel? If that or something similar is your story, then this episode is for you, my friend. As I said, I didn't grow up with a mother who directly tore me down, but I've had to hold space for others who did. Some of these friends were called names, dismissed, or compared to others often. Some of these friends were told, "You're too much," or "You'll never be enough." Or they were made to feel like their worth was always on trial. and they had to prove themselves over and over by complying with a requested action. And you know what I've learned? That just because someone gave you life doesn't mean that they gave you love in the way that you needed. And just because someone gave you life doesn't mean that you owe them every choice that you make. So today we want to talk about 3 truths to keep tucked in your back pocket and deep in your heart to help you heal from mother wounds with boundaries and grace. Truth number 1, you don't owe anyone your peace, even if they gave you life. You don't have to stay in spaces that chip away at your self-worth in the name of loyalty, because love without safety isn't really love. It's manipulation. And sadly, even our own mothers can be manipulative. Family without boundaries isn't healthy. You can still respect the fact that she gave you life, and you can still honor the time and the labor that she put into raising you without sacrificing your own boundaries and your own mental health. Truth number 2, honoring her doesn't mean denying your truth. Now, I'm of a certain generation where honor thy mother and father were used quite frequently, not just in church, but out of church. And basically it meant you have to do whatever they ask of you. You have to behave however they ask of you. And you have to stay quiet and silent about it. The phrase, be seen and not heard, that was in the same vein. But what I've come to know is that honor isn't silence. Honor isn't protecting. Honor is choosing to walk in integrity. And sometimes that means admitting this dynamic is not healthy for me. And it doesn't matter if the dynamic is around a partner, a sibling, a friend, or yes, even your own mother. You are not dishonoring your mother by telling the truth about your experience. You are honoring your own healing. She had her version of the experience, but you also had yours. And many times, moms who are fixated on their experience can't empathize with your experience as the child. And so it's your job to validate and champion and respect your own experience. The third truth is that healing doesn't require her apology, but healing does require your permission. So what if there are some apologies you might never hear. Some mothers will go to their grave without ever admitting what they did or what they didn't do. And many times what they did or didn't do hurt you, wounded you deeply. And sometimes they may have even changed the entire trajectory of your life. And still, you get to heal. Not because she made it right, but because you are choosing to make it whole. And your healing starts the moment that you say, I don't need her to validate this pain in order for me to release it. And that, my friend, is not weakness. That is resilience. So those are the 3 truths. You don't owe anyone your peace. Honoring her doesn't mean denying your truth. And healing doesn't require her apology, but it does require your permission. So let's be real. This kind of heartbreak can feel spiritually confusing, because, in the Bible, we're told to forgive, to love, to honor, all of the verses. But what do you do with all of that when your own mother is the source of your pain? What if honoring her feels like betraying yourself? And this is where I would point you to Galatians 5:1. So Christ has truly set us free. Now make sure that you stay free and don't get tied up again in slavery to the law. Now, what that verse means is that if you're grieving the relationship that you wish you had with your mother, if you're mourning a version of her that never showed up, or if you felt crushed by the guilt of needing space from her or silence toward her, God is still near. He's not asking you to pretend it didn't hurt. He said Christ has truly set us free. He's not requiring blind obedience in the name of peace. He said, now make sure you stay free. He's staying close, not to your performance, but he's staying close to your pain. And he warns, don't get tied up again in slavery to the law. And in this case, the law means prescribed expectations and norms that society or parents or anyone else puts on you. You answer to one and only God, and he knows your deepest hurts. He knows what was done in the dark, and he knows the intentions with which those were done. So again, you only answer to him. And in his closeness, you get to rebuild. You get to rebuild slowly and safely, and with boundaries that honor your actual healing. So I have a journal prompt for you, and I can't stress enough the importance of journaling. Listening to these episodes can be jarring, they can be saddening, they can be empowering. But without a journal to actually sit and commune with God and ask God to speak to you through your writing, you won't be able to fully process what is happening inside of you as you're listening and learning. So if you don't have a journal or don't have one dedicated to what you're learning throughout this podcast, let me strongly encourage you to get one. Anyone. And again, if you're looking for one that is designed to go right along with the episodes, definitely check out the website for the Bounce Back Companion Journal. But at the end of the day, just make sure that you're journaling. So here's the prompt. Where have I been confusing loyalty with silence or self-abandonment? And the next prompt, what boundary would help me honor my truth without dishonoring my healing? You don't have to answer these all at once. You just have to be honest with yourself. So, if no one's ever given you permission to say this out loud, let me be the first one, friend. You ready? You can love your mother and still tell the truth about the harm that she caused. You can honor her story without staying bound to her patterns. And you can create distance, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Remember, Galatians 5:1. So Christ has truly set us free. Now make sure that you stay free. Your healing doesn't make you rebellious or mean or petty. Your boundaries don't make you cold or unfeeling or selfish. And your truth doesn't make you dishonorable or broken or unworthy. it makes you free. So, if this episode stirred anything in you, I want to invite you personally to come and join us in the Bounce Back Black Woman Facebook group. Because after these episodes, we talk about these truths in community. You might be surprised how many other people are feeling the same feelings that might have been stirred within you after listening to this episode. And also, if you haven't yet signed up for the weekly newsletter, let me encourage you to do that at the website, bouncebackblackwoman.com, because I drop so many deeper truths about the episodes and a glimpse into my own life behind the mic in those. And I think they would be very helpful to you as we embark on this journey together. You are not alone in this healing, my friend. You are seen. I see you. You are sacred. God says so. And you are free to protect your peace. Well, that's it for today, my friend. I really hope this episode inspired, encouraged, or just plain comforted you. If so, please share it with a friend who might be struggling in her own healing journey. And if you take a moment to leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, you'll help other women find encouragement through their heartbreak. Remember that God is holding your hand along this journey, and guess what? I'm holding the other. Life is short, so bounce back, Black woman.